up, everybody? Chris Wojnarski. We're back again with a little longer form welding fabrication video and a little continuation of my wrench build. So here is what we got, these wrenches. I think my last video I might have showed you, well, 2 videos ago I showed you making those pieces, and now I just did a little hole drilling. I think I did that. I still got to post that video, so now this will be the future. So what I'm doing was, I thought of, here's my piece right here. For my extra piece, I'm going to put right here, and I was going to put a little piece of square stock in there and put that on, but then I'd have a little piece of square stock sticking out, so instead I'm going to put the piece inside of it. So let me show you. These pieces will go inside, but problem was that we made these out of 1/8 inch thick and this piece out of 14 gauge. So fit in a 14 gauge, but we didn't have enough material, and I already made this piece out of the 1/8 inch to fit inside the 1/8 inch, so it won't fit in there. So we don't have enough material to make all new wrenches and everything. That's going to take more time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just chop 3 inches off of this, and then 3 inches, I'll cut pieces 3 inches long of the 14 gauge, which I have enough of that. So I need 10 pieces. So that'll be what, 30 inches maybe, or something like that. So go in like that, and then they'll fit in, and I'll just grind down a little weld. And I already did one little test thing like this. Now the one problem is, these are since they're 2 different thicknesses, the radius on it is a little bit different, but that's really not too bad. And after it's painted, it'll look perfectly fine. So I think it's pretty good, and I'd rather that, I think, than have little square tubing stick out and the wrench won't be centered up and everything. So go like that, and they might not even use this piece. They might just keep that in their truck or something. So I'm not really sure if they're going to use that. If not, then they just leave it blank. So anyway, I cut them all. I cut 3 inches off all of those pieces up here, and I cut 3-inch pieces, and I drilled holes in them. So what do I have to do now? I have to make them. So I'm using a fixture table. You don't need a fixture table. You could just clamp a piece of flat bar down. I'm just used the fixture table as a little stopper, so that's my straight edge. Put a straight edge on it and put my piece in, and this piece goes like that. And if you want, you can make your seam line up. This smaller tubing really doesn't have a seam in there, but it would make it look a little bit better if you did that. Line up your seams, even though they probably won't be perfectly lined up, but get in the ballpark, or just spin it in whichever way fits better. And I'll put you on the tripod for a second. Actually, I'll get my welder set up for you guys, and then I'll clamp it down. That way I don't got to move it again. So Everlast 325 EXT. Turn it on. Setting number 1 is already my DC stuff, so just 200 amps. I really don't have to touch it. I'll just go over the weighted DC pedal, no tick pulse, normal. Weld amps 200. I'll probably bump that down to, like, I really don't need that much, maybe 150. But I like welding at 200 amps. I like that a little extra amperage in there. Downslope 0, end amps 5, post flow. Looks like that got bumped a little. I usually do like 10, 12. Stainless, I like to bump it up a little hotter, but I really don't need it here. So the lower you put it, the more you'll save gas. Free flow, 0.2 of a second. That helps with the fresher or crisper arc start. Just a little bit of free flow. Start amps 15 is fine. Upslope 0, and that high frequency 2. Get my gas on, and I'll probably run that about 20 to 25 CFH, and we should be good. My tungsten, I'm using this. We gotta get a new torch. Our 20 style CK torch leaked on us, so now we need a new torch. Here's the Everlast torch. I like the 20 style. This is the 18. It's a little too big for me. Yeah, 332nd blue tungsten, 2% lanthanum, and we'll get going. flip it back to the other side. Should be good. Now, that should be good. I got you on the tripod. Sorry, I didn't explain that tungsten. Yeah, 2% lanthanated, the blue CK Worldwide tungsten. I just sharpened it to a point. Gas lens, 3/32, and we should be good. Yeah, water-cooled torch, nice to have, but our torch broke, so I need a new one. I don't really care for the big ones, the 18. So hopefully I'll get a 20 style soon. But doing it, so just want to suck it back this way and that way and make sure that way it'll all be flat. Clamp it down. I just did 2 tacks on the top, that way I'm not trying to battle the sides. So I tacked it, flipped it 180, clamped it again, tacked the other 2. Now I can start welding it, or I can start tacking them all. So really a decision right there, whatever I want to do. So I don't know. Yeah, I'll tack a couple, weld a couple, and go from there. Get you a little better of a close-up if I can too. So I'll hold this piece down like that, clamp it, hold this piece down like that, make sure it's buttoned up that way and this way and down. It has a little rock in it, so flip it. That's the way the tubing is. Looks pretty good, feels flat. I already have a bevel on this stuff too, so that way when I grind it down, it should be like 100% penetration. The square hang off right here. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I got the square hanging off right there. It's kind of like a last minute decision to do it like that. So I would have made it all out of that tubing if we thought about it ahead of time, but we kind of didn't. So that was my fault right there, and just making up for it right now. I didn't really think about that last time for them to hold those squares extra, because then we thought about, oh, maybe they'll lose them over time if we don't put a little spot for them to do them. If they keep sticking them in their truck, that extra piece, they'll end up losing it. So that's what we decided to make. That's when we decided to make little spot for them to put them on. So instead of redoing everything, we just modified. So we'll get to it. I got 3 tacked up. I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing. I'll show you my 3, and we'll weld 3, and then we could maybe grind 3 and or 1 or something and show you the after results. So black iron, it gets a little smoky, so I like to take a little fan. Got my little Milwaukee cordless fan, and I point it so it sucks some of the fumes that way, so I'm not breathing it in. So, here we go. For perfection right here, it's all going to get ground down, so I'm just quickly going at it. You can see all that smoke coming out. That's where that fan helps I'm not breathing it in. So do maybe one more, let that cool down for a little bit, and we'll grind it down, I guess. I don't think you really want to watch me grind or weld it off, so I'm not really editing this video, so I'm not going to speed it up or anything. So we're all good. Now I want to make sure to get a little hole right there. So the hole, you want to fill that out, otherwise it's going to, no matter how far you grind it, it's just going to go down. So we're pretty good, but yeah, but the corners, I just want to try the material on that, I kind of blend both two things in good. Same thing on top, we want the material, so if I diffuse it, we want that material in there, okay? Just get the material, I didn't know blend it. So, pretty good. So pretty cool, over to the grinder, start grinding it down. Okay, so you see a little bit how I ground it. Now the corners is where you want to grind it and blend it a little bit more. I didn't get this one all the way because it felt like that reel's not that good, that brand. So it heats up really fast, and I didn't want to ruin the wheel. It's a new wheel by just glazing it over. So I just let that cool down for a second, and I'll start doing the corners, and pretty good. But the first one, the weld's going like this, so I want to make sure to go like that with the flapper disc, and it takes just that weld off, and then afterwards you could go the other way and blend it a little better. That way, if I would have went like this with the flapper wheel, it just kind of gouges out a lot and ovals it out. So, little trick. Contours in a little between the two different things, but for what it is, it's perfectly fine. Doesn't look too bad. Once paint on it, it'll look perfectly fine. So just the slightest little difference between the material thickness or contours, the radiuses on it, but not bad at all. So that'll help. So that's a little project for today. I got how many more of those to do? 9 more or whatever. I have 10 total, so that was 1 and 1, so 8 more, whatever. So I'm not going to show you that, but pretty much good to go. After that, I just have I've just got to weld this piece to this piece, and that should be good. And then this has the hole in it already, so it should be pretty good. And it didn't matter which way I spun that, but maybe where the holes are that way and this way, when I put it on, I might have the holes going this way. I might have the holes going that way, maybe. Not really sure. Doesn't really matter, just preference. Or up and down that way. Doesn't really matter. So, should be good. Then the piece bolts in there and the other piece could bolt in there. So, we should be pretty good. We're getting there, guys. So, hopefully you guys like this little longer form content. Now, when I stopped that video, I had to stop it. So, I know what loading this up on Instagram, I think it's like a 10-minute video or something like that. I forget what it is. I think you can post longer videos, but it has to be a post, not a reel. And depending on, I remember doing it, if it's like you can't make 2 videos, 1 long post. It has to be 1 video and whatever, unless you go into a editing software and combine them all together, which I might have to do with this. With YouTube, it might be different. I might be able to just post them all on YouTube. And I found out on YouTube, on my phone at least, watching it, I was worried about it being like skinny, like a skinny video or whatever, because it'd be vertical where it's supposed to be horizontal. and it has the video and then 2 black pieces on the end, like black. It's only like in the middle, but it's like that if you go to the full screen. But I was able to like zoom down on it or whatever, and it made a big long one, almost like an Instagram reel. So I don't know, we'll see. It's the best of both worlds, I guess. So we'll see. I'll just add it and we'll go from there. But for Instagram, there you guys go. For YouTube, hopefully it works out. On your TV it might not be different or something, but I don't know. Or turn your phone up and down, and that might make it a little better. But this is the end of the video, so you guys probably don't care about that. But subscribe if you want to my YouTube. I'm trying to meet 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I'm at like 300 almost. So if you could, I appreciate it, or give it a thumbs up, and thank you. See you guys on the next one. Chris Wojnarski, over and out. Actually mark these out, but I'll show you a way to do it.